homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, we're back from our winter break. I promised you I'd show you Crystal's shelf when it was done. Painted black to match all of her cabinets in the kitchen, same paint. Of course, right now she's already populated it with a few things. Jars of this and jars of that, and her stand mixer and a cake plate, and some of the things that she just didn't have anywhere in the kitchen to store stuff. And with that in mind, we also did a complete pantry, kitchen pantry, up here on the same level, so she doesn't have to go down into the basement. Now we're keeping our pantry in the basement. That's where we store our canning jars. A lot of the canned food, we'll bring a few up at a time and put them in this local pantry. But I want to show you what that was. Of course, it was one of those things where it was just too tight a space for me to video, because all you'd seen was my butt most of the time. So I did a few videos as it went along. I took a few pictures, and we'll show you the overall of how it came out. Let's go do that now. Okay, when we bought this house, there were five doors that entered into the kitchen. Well, that was just absolutely so many doors that you couldn't place things like a refrigerator or any of the other stuff that we would normally place. So what we did was we took one door, which was actually a bathroom, and why anybody puts a little half bath off of their kitchen, I don't know. My bet is this was always, that bathroom was always meant to be a pantry, but when bathrooms came around, this house was built before there was a bathroom ever in it, okay? So I'm assuming that was a pantry that they just stuck a commode and a sink in. When we bought the house, the only thing in there was a commode. So that's the way it was. So now I'm going to show you what we did to create this pantry space here on the first floor. The very first thing we did is right here behind the refrigerator was a door. There was a door right here where the refrigerator sits. Now that door, we closed it over with sheetrock and made this a spot for the refrigerator just as you're entering from the dining room. Made it a spot of its own with its own cabinets over top. And so that was a door that was closed off, sheetrocked over, and so that little bathroom wasn't accessible. So the next thing we had to do was tear out a wall. Now once we got into this wall, it was lath and plaster. So I had to tear out all of that lath and plaster. And let me tell you, if you've never fooled with that stuff, it is tough. Just tough. And we tore out this lath and plaster, revealing that little bathroom. Of course, you can see the commode sitting there. Here's a better picture. It's just a commode, and then when it closed in that left-hand wall, then we had to go in the basement and take out these great big old cast iron pipes. That was a killer. I had to cut them out into small sections and take them out. Oh, that pipe was so heavy. Now, here we are at the beginning of the, after I've started putting in the framing, you'll notice I framed up the door. I've moved the light from the ceiling. When we bought this house, it had old knob and tube wiring, and I took out the old knob and tube, but the light fixture was still hanging. I took it out and put that up on the top, and now I've got the shelves ready to start putting the shelves in, got everything leveled up. You know, you can see the old tile that was originally there. Progress is finally starting to occur. It just takes a while. You know, you can see where I've got the shelves getting ready to be lined up in there. I've got the overhead shelf here. So we're starting to get there. Now this part was kind of tough on an old man, laying that flooring. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do for a transition yet, but I got the flooring all laid. I got the inside of this all painted, ready to start adding other stuff. I've done part of the painting. I've still got to paint the stairwell. Of course, you see all the paint and stuff still up there on the thing, but I have painted the doorways and the plywood and that kind of thing. About ready to do the electrical. Now I've started painting, but the color paint just was ugly, so we bought a different color. And but I've got the shelves in. It's just I used 2x3s, and when we did the shelves, I did those as 2x3s and 1/4-inch plywood, and then I'll cover those with trim boards and then paint them all in. So I've still got to do that transition over to the tile. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I've got to come up with something. It's hard to get up in here with a ladder, but I've got it all in. I finally got the lights in today too. So we're about ready to start populating. Now let's go into the pantry. Of course, the pantry is also on the entrance to the basement. So if we open this door, we go into the newly renovated pantry. The very first thing you see is we built a shelf. Up here it houses things like large pans that wouldn't fit anywhere else, so Crystal doesn't have to keep them in her oven anymore. It houses her cast iron cookware, and it's also a spot where we hang bags of potatoes, onions, that kind of thing. I showed you in a Homestead Quickie, it's all made with hooks for pot hangers, like our pot hanger here in the kitchen. Now, as we go into here, you'll notice the floor, we put vinyl plank down. We wanted to make sure that everywhere had a space of its own. Just inside the door, we had a space for Crystal's vacuum cleaner, and over here on the other side, just as you enter, there's a space for her broom. And then we've got the pantry. Now the pantry allows us to keep all the things that we normally keep in the house in the kitchen. Now, it's some canned goods and some different stuff. It doesn't include our stuff that's in the basement that we've stored for food that we have grown, okay? We still eat oatmeal, and we eat cereal and Pop-Tarts and pizza and all that stuff that everybody else eats. And then our major stuff, of course, is up on some of the stuff that we seldom use, like canning stuff, pickling stuff, that kind of thing. Those are up on the top shelf, and we have to access those with a little ladder that we've got, a little step stool. And then on the bottom shelf, Crystal has put all of her canning stuff. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's her canning stuff and large pots and stuff down below. Now, as you come down the stairwell, we've created spaces for everything. You know, a place for Crystal to hang her feather duster, a place for mops, and then finally a place to hang coats and hats and that kind of stuff here in the stairwell, which is often just useless, wasted space. We tried to create as much useful space as possible. I still have one little piece of painting to do. That's where I walked up the stairs. I've still got to paint that. I'll probably do that tonight before I go to bed, so it'll be ready in the morning. Now, in her place here, we've put up plenty of lights, so you can turn the lights on and off and have plenty of lighting to get in and out of the pantry. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homestead stuff every week, sometimes one, sometimes 5 videos, Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell when you come to the channel, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing.